Oh. Have you noticed that everywhere you turn, it's you must be spiritually connected. You have to become spiritually connected. It is spiritually connected. Honey, how come you haven't called? You have to be spiritually connected. Um, and on the radio, on our interview webcast the other day, I heard someone, and they said that if you were not full of love and loving and kindness and sweet, candy, unicorn, fluffy rainbows, whatever, and wanting to heal the universe, then you were not spiritually connected, even if you thought you were. It's just there's this very much growing movement that is asserting that to be spiritually connected means that you're going to be full of love. And I'm not the biggest guru. I mean, I'm a spiritual leader in some aspects, small aspects, nothing important. But if there's one thing I've always known is this: I am spiritually connected. I do not see myself as being spiritually connected for the same reasons as other people are, and I'm certainly not full of love. I'm a compassionate being, but I'm not full of love. I'm actually rather sarcastic. Um, so I thought about it, and I said, I'm going to look up what being spiritually connected actually means, according to the resources I've got, which in this case was only the internet. And I'll see what I can find and see if it really, if this is like the status quo that you have to be full of love. And so the first thing I did is I did a web search and found that to be spiritually connected is actually a reference to soulmates, not being connected to spirit. That two people may feel this connection, spirit to spirit, and feel that they're, soulmates, and thus they are spiritually connected. So I dug a bit deeper. To be spiritual kind of means that you're, really into your religion. It has to do with the spirit. Uh, Nowhere in anything like that I find any mention of love. Just a lot of spirit, you know. Um, and I found one website that was saying how to tell if you're spiritually connected, and one of the things on there was you like to look at the stars because you feel part of a greater portion of the universe. No, what if you just like to look at the twinkly lights? No, so I said, okay, well, this is silly because it's like this laying on of spiritual connectiveness based on that spirit is always of love, is actually rather what's the word I'm looking for? People say it of the Bible a lot. Contradictory, because like, for example, the transdimensional beings that are here to feed on us because they're vampires and they're spirits. Well, if they're spirits according to this growing notion that to be connected, that spirit is love, then why are they feeding off of us in a harmful manner? They're not doing it lovingly. They're not love. So that alone kind of, and I know that they're talking about the great overall this great overall central glom of spirit that's love, but there's no thought of this. Just a growing need to turn things into a mounting religion, I guess. But before I could pass judgment completely, I decided I was going to pull a Mark Passio and look even deeper to the term itself, spiritually connected. Now, if you don't know who Mark Passio is, I suggest that you take a look. There's one lecture by him called New Age Bullshit, and there's another one, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically exposing Illuminati symbols and explaining them to you. They're good lectures. He's very entertaining. You may have to take some of his stuff piecemeal because he will put a lot in 4 hours. But he puts out the lectures for free. He encourages you to spread his lectures. He really just wants the knowledge out there. And he's really in depth. Now, I didn't go in depth in my little hunt as he would have. But I did look. And so, what is spiritually connected? What is this term really? So, I'm not very good at this, understand, even though I took Latin in school. I'm not very good at this. Let's take the first part, spiritually. Well, its root word is spirit or spiritual. Okay. The meaning of the whole phrase, I've got notes. I'm terrible. United, joined, linked, family ties, social relationships, right? That was most of the meanings that people were using. It had nothing to do with being connected to the cosmos. It had everything to do with being connected to one another on a soul level. So the first part, spiritual, meaning the quality or fact of being spiritual. Okay. It also means incorporeal, not tangible, and immaterial, like a ghost. Woo, ghosty. Okay. It also means spiritual, consisting of spirit. Okay. Doesn't say what kind, just consisting of spirit. Incorporeal, again, supernatural, ethereal, delicately refined. I liked that one. Religious, devotional, yeah. And then what I really liked was the last part that goes back to the very root word of spiritual, where the word spiritual comes from, Middle English, Latin, Greek, ethyl ether, okay, which is a colorless, highly volatile, flammable liquid. Yes, yes. It has it says an aromatic color. It's got a sweet burning taste, and it's used as a solvent and as an inhalant anesthetic. So the spirit is a colorless, easy to explode substance that burns your mouth, that will dissolve you, that is used to dissolve things or numb you. That is spirit. That is where the word spirit comes from. I was laughing. Okay, so now here's another connection. Space, sky, and heavens. That's another term for, to go down even further into ethyl ether. A hypothetical stuff occupies fall space, postulated to account for the propagation of space electromagnetic radiation. The heavens, above us, not heaven. Okay, and that's, yeah. I was really amused. So that be connected to the spirit, it's a state of being non-corporeally easy to anger while tasting sweet. Yes. I didn't find any references to love anywhere. Just in any of my trying to pick out the parts very badly. I've always viewed being spiritual as more of a martial art. Maybe it's because I grew up watching Kung Fu theater on Saturdays and absolutely adoring Bruce Lee. But it's more, and I'm not the only one to reflect this. I actually had an elder reflect this to me. I've seen it in whenever I studied Buddhism. It's a matter of balance. What I've noticed with the people that are screaming, you're not spiritually connected if you're not loving, is one, you're screaming this about other people and pointing fingers and saying that they're not really connected because they aren't acting or feeling or thinking like you. How is that loving? Two, it's really more a matter of balance. I've noticed also, I appreciate that, yes, women do have a hard time. I should know. I've dealt with some stuff, but there's this thing called balance, and I get tired of the male bashing, to be quite honest. It's even on a sub level where like it isn't directly said so much. It's there's drop phrases and key phrases, and the men did this and the men did that, and the men held people down, and yes, there's a historical precedent of this happening, and yet instead of lashing out and doing basically the gender equivalent of reverse racism, it's a matter of balance, because it's a matter of getting both your masculinity and your femininity in equal, so they can enhance each other, instead of being so logical you're just completely male-minded, or so feminine you're just completely emotional. When you're completely emotional, you're going to jump the gun, you're going to make assumptions. Oh, they're not spiritual, for example. You're not going to think straight. You're not going to make good decisions. And the same thing goes with logical. You're going to make these cold, hard decisions. You're going to forget about family. You're going to go, well, I don't care if they're spiritual. They're not like me. Who cares? And there's this balance you've got to find where it's, and you can recognize your feelings and recognize everything. And that is being spiritual. It's a matter of being connected so you can hear the spirit and see the spirit, and even in some cases communicate and interact with the spirit, because through that you are connecting. Sure, gazing at the stars can help you connect with the spirit if you're looking up at the sky and you're feeling it. But there's going to be that night or two that you're just looking up at the sky because it's just a really nice night, and you've got a nice bottle of red wine, and the breeze is blowing, and it's a good summer air, and has nothing to do with being spiritual, and everything to do with just chilling out and enjoying nature. And I don't know. I think I'm just more dismayed by this misunderstanding, at least according to my point of view, of what it is to be spiritual, because I see more and more people fall for the white lighter propaganda and spread it, and then they also start losing their connectivity, and then they form cliques. And if you are not enough of, close enough to how they think or feel, they will shut you out. I should know. I've been shut out a lot, and they get nowhere. All they do is spin their wheels and go in circles. And so I thought I would put my very convoluted and confusing point of view of what it is to be spiritually connected out there. I have been spiritually connected my entire life, and it isn't even something that I strove to attain. It's just I knew there was something there, and I reached out and I touched it and I connected to it. And let me tell you, I can be one hateful bitch.